Well, I don't know what to say because I'm so into it. Yes, we have 5 different shows in Vegas. They are all very different. They are all amazing. I don't want to compare them because we cannot compare our shows.
The 2 things that most impress me about Cirque du Soleil generally is the music and the lighting before we talk about the production. I mean, it's so spot on. It immediately gets you in the mood. Certainly with Car, you have a performance before you even start the show. With Mystere, the same. So that's so clever to get people involved because it's kind of awkward, isn't it, when you're sat in your seat before a production starts?
Yeah. Well, we try to do that with all the shows. That we call it the animation period, but for us it's more the moment where we tune ourselves to the audience and we tune the audience to the show. We prepare the audience. It's like going to a concert and just before the concert or the opera, well, all the musicians are coming, they take their place and they tune their instruments. For us, the animation, it's the same. It's the period where we tune ourselves and we tune the audience also.
Let's talk about Car then, because that's where we are now. We're at the MGM Grand, which is, I don't know whether to say the most spectacular, because I have to be honest, I think O is my favourite just because of the bigness of the show. It is just tremendous. But Car does something that makes me nervous throughout the show. It's got a huge platform that basically contorts in every single direction. How it does that, I don't know. The bravery of your performers is something that always amazes me. The fact that they're jumping from such a tremendous height.
Well, that's the purpose, that's the target, to give thrills. And when people come in, the only thing they see is an empty space, a huge, huge empty space. And suddenly this stage appears, but can we call it a stage? Because it's moving in every direction. But the idea is to give different perspective to the audience. So at certain point they can see the show from above, from the side. So that was the main idea. But yes, you're right. The performers are incredible.
The one thing that always staggers me about Cirque du Soleil is how you think of it. In every show, there is so many things where you think, how do you think of having a stage that goes to 360 and then has poles coming out that then go? How is it possible for performers to actually deal with everything that's going on around them?
It takes time. To elaborate a show, it takes us maybe 2, 3, 4 years. So you come up with an idea of playing with an empty space, and weeks after you start to think, oh no, maybe it would be nice to add a stage, but a stage that would move. And a few weeks after or months after, let's say but if the stage moves, let's take it move in every direction from up, down, east, west. And it's a long, long process. This is not something that we develop and we create in a few months.
I've interviewed so many of your cast over the last few years. I've been very lucky to interview many Brits. You basically pull amazing performers from anywhere in the world. They don't just have to be from America. If they're good enough and they're basically of Olympic standard, you'll take them.
Exactly, yeah. We're taking our people from everywhere around the world, yeah. We have, I don't know how many actually, probably 16 to 20 different countries represented within the cast of all the shows.
Is there an element of you wanting to make theatre bigger and better than anywhere else in the world? When you start with an idea, what is your core for producing a show?
Well, to challenge ourselves first, and but to touch the people. How can we touch them this time? That's the main target that we have.
The thing that also amazes me about your shows are the cast and how hard they work. This is not show business, a walk in the park, turn up, do an hour and a half and go home. They're mainly doing 2 shows a night and they're working 5 or 6 days a week. You certainly work them hard, don't you?
Yes, they do. Yes, they work hard. 2 shows a day, 90 minutes, no intermissions, 5 days a week. Yeah.
The only problem I have with Cirque du Soleil, and I'm going to be, and I got to be honest with you, is the fact that I come out feeling somewhat inadequate. I'm a guy who talks rubbish on the radio, and I see these physical geniuses who are up there dancing and singing and jumping and flying and falling off things. I am pathetic, really, compared to the people who you're working with. That's not good for me.
But why?
Well, because they're so talented. I'm just a guy who talks for a living. Everybody does that.
Yeah, you're right.
What do you mean, yes? You're not meant to say yes.
I mean, yes, you're right. Those people are talented. We take a great care when we choose our artists. if they come from if they were looking for acrobats or if we're looking for singers, musicians, actors, we take a great care in the selection because we want to have the best ones.
The other thing that's really nice is they're also proud to work for you. The name Cirque du Soleil has such credence in show business and in athletics even. I mean, people aspire to work for you. That's nice for you, isn't it?
Yes. And what amazed me more and more with time, I remember when I started with the company 13 years ago, when we were looking for acrobats and we were approaching them to join Cirque du Soleil, they were like, what's that? A circus? I'm not interested, And more now, the people that we hired, and this is something that they told me many times, that it's because when they were young, they saw a performance from Cirque du Soleil, and they said, this is exactly what I want to do when I'm going to be an adult. It's amazing. In just a few years, I would change the vision of people.
Is it possible, do you think, to put another Cirque show in somewhere permanently? Because the shows come and go from the UK. It's a very expensive production. There are 1 million people working on it, and the production costs are enormous as well as the staging costs. So could you, for example, do you think, ever bring a permanent show to London?
Yeah, why not? We already have another permanent show in Orlando, and it's working very well. And we have many requests from major cities in the world that they want us to create a permanent show for them. So we are studying all those requests.
I suppose your biggest problem is where do you go from beating something like O or Car or even Zumanity? They're so extreme, they're so amazing.
We don't really think about that. We don't really think about how can we do a show that will be better than O or bigger than Car. We don't think about that.
But there must be an element of pressure when you consider that people are going to expect something as different or as new or as spectacular and amazing, whatever genre that may be.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think the challenge is more, at the beginning, the challenge is more for us. How can we create a show that will still amaze people? That when they will come and see the show, they will say, I couldn't believe that it was possible for this company to create a show like this one again. That's our main challenge.
Final thing I have to say about Cirque du Soleil is the nervous factor on my part on two levels. One, for the performers, but also on the number of things that could go wrong. I don't think there's any other production anywhere in the world that could stop the show, literally. It only takes one cog to stop going, and presumably the whole thing falls down. It's so brilliant how you even keep these things on the road.
Yeah. Well, we do have our problems also, once in a while. Those shows are huge. Are technically very complex, so sometimes we have our issues.
We've all got our issues. Congratulations on Cirque du Soleil. It pushes theatre to a whole new level, and if you think you've seen great theatre, if you haven't seen a Cirque show, I suspect you probably haven't seen anything like it.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I started to work on that show, I was like, oh my God. After many years, we just pushed the limits again.
Far beyond anybody else. Congratulations, Pierre. Thank you so much for talking to me. And really, if you want a thrill in a theatre, any of the Cirque du Soleil shows are just unbelievable. Thank you for talking to me.
Pleasure. Thank you.